In terms of why do we need Scrum? What are the benefits? It really works wonders with teams because teams are empowered. Again, the team estimates, the team does everything. So the team owns the whole thing. They're not told what to do. They actually they own up the whole delivery of the product, and they're forthcoming with ideas. They're organized and motivated to come up with ideas and identify the problems, come up with solutions, implement the solutions, and improve them later. So there is that sense of ownership, commitment from the team, which is brilliant. And I think that's the cornerstone of why Scrum is such a huge success. In the last 10 years, it has taken the whole world, right? And then customers, again, engaging the customers early on. I told you about the waterfall kind of project that I worked on, where I spent like 4 months writing up the requirements documents, FRS, SRS, that functional requirements, specifications, software requirement specifications, market requirement document, loads and loads of pages of documents. And then that gets sent to the customer. Customer takes another 1 month, 2 months to review. By the time it is all done, it's about a good 6 months, and we start the development only after about 11 months of the project start. So obviously the project is bound to fail because of all the changes that could potentially come in between in this time period. And the customers are so aloof, they're kept aloof from the whole development. They think that this is some kind of a dark science. The technology and the IT development is some kind of a dark science where you actually put everything in a dark room, do something, put some potions, magic potions, and come up with some kind of a brilliant thing. That was what IT was supposed to do, was actually kind of positioned as doing in the last 30, 40 years ago. That was the kind of image that IT had. So you've got this IT guy sitting in the corner. Who is an IT guy? Techie, nerd, geek. They're supposed to be living in their own siloed world, and then they just are so involved. That's called heads down, right? So they're so heads down into that. They do their work, and then they deliver something without interacting with the customer, with the business, with the stakeholders. That was the case about 30 years ago. But thanks to Agile and Scrum, you've got the product owner who is actually the customer and the customer proxy. They are involved in the project, in the product, in the work happening day in and day out. They are actually looking at your project, at the product and the process. Perhaps at the end of 3 weeks, they're part of the meetings, right? They will understand, not like I said, about 11 months later, looking at the product and saying, this is not what I want. Instead, they're looking at the product 3 weeks. Every 3 weeks, they're actually looking at the product, how it's evolving. And perhaps after about the first 1.5 months, 2 months, you actually ship the product, and you get the feedback from the customers and users, right? So it's a huge win-win. And that's why Scrum is an amazing thing. It works really beautiful. Why does it work beautifully? Because you've got the big chunk of product. It's a huge monolith of this product, so-called product, which could be anything. It could be a mobile application, website, web application, digital platform, anything it could be. It could be a non-IT product as well. All of this could be broken down to smaller chunks. You're actually releasing that in phases, right? So you're actually managing that better. You can manage what is in this. So you actually have got a better control in terms of how you can plan and deliver that. And the whole team understands everything. Remember, I used to actually be working in IT projects, about 15, 16 years ago, when we were talking about these meetings where the developers are not invited, the analysts are not invited, just the big meeting with project managers and the project leads. That's it. Nobody else is invited. And they will actually take stock, they will get an idea, and then that gets passed on to so finally the developers would actually get, and the testers would actually get it after about a good few months. So there's a huge disconnect between what the business wants, what the project manager wants, what the management team really need, and what the development team would really need to deliver to be able to meet those expectations. So there's a huge disconnect in terms of time, in terms of the resources, the way it works, huge disconnect. And as I said before, with an example of the project I worked on, the testers used to come after 14 months of the start of the project. Remember, 14 months after the project started, that's when the first tester would come in to test, start looking at, oh, I need to create this test case. What is this project all about? Looking at the requirements, checking with the developers. 14 months of the project start, you're getting the testing team. What is the project supposed to deliver? Obviously, till that time, all the things that you delivered would have been complete total waste and total failure in terms of what the customer really needed, because nobody verified, nobody validated whether it is in the right path, going the right speed or not, right? So what you have got is, with Agile, with Scrum, the tester is part of the team from the day one. As much as the analyst, as much as the developers, as much as the architect, the tester is also part of the team. So right from the day one, as I mentioned the other day, test driven development, that actually you're putting the engine, and testing is actually supposed to be the last bit in the whole piece of the pieces of work, right? So you've got in the waterfall, you've got requirements, analysis, design, development. Testing comes in the really last stage, perhaps in the waterfall thing, before you deliver. But with Agile, what you did was you actually put that with the TD. We'll discuss that in greater length maybe in the next few weeks. I'll actually have one session separately for TDD. We did that in a few projects. So with TDD, you actually put the testing first, not even requirements. You're not even talking about requirements. You're actually talking and writing test cases. So you're writing test cases, and obviously because they're not executed, there's nothing that you can actually use it. So the first time you actually execute the test cases, they would fail. That's bound to happen. And then you actually do that again, execute, come up with a code, write the code, and then execute the test case again. Perhaps the second time it would still fail. Perhaps third pass, fourth pass, it would pass. Fourth pass as in fourth iteration, the test cases would pass. And that's the goal of that. So you're actually driving the whole project from the point of view of the testing. And that's another Agile flavor. It's not wrong, it's not right. That's just another flavor. You can use it if you want, depending on the situation. So that's the whole idea about why you need to improve, why you need to engage all the team members from the day one to make sure that bonding, the ownership, the commitment, and the delivery is done in a much better way. Obviously, because of all of these, they've got a lot of improved communication, because you've got the what we call as Scrum ceremonies, the daily Scrum meeting happening every day. So you're talking to your team members every day. I remember being in a waterfall. The architect used to be down in like 4 or 5 blocks into the team seating. So the architect was never coming in here. The same with the testers. They were sitting elsewhere, completely different. They were sitting in a different building altogether, the testers. And then we had got this developer sitting here, and then the analyst sitting somewhere else. Where is the bonding? Where's the communication? Where is the openness? Everything used to be like, oh, what are you working on? I am working on this. It used to happen like not even a day, one day in a month. They used to get together, understand what is happening with, hey, you didn't work on this yet? You still did not complete the delivery? No, I've got this problem. But that is coming after 1 month instead of the next day. So with Agile, you can actually bridge those gaps. You can actually come up and make sure that all the gaps are filled in, because you're constantly engaging your team members, the customers, in a continuous manner. It's not just one-off hi, hello types. And the project delivered to customer early, actually, as I said, in the case of this mobile accessories website, selling website with our example that we've been working on, you are not delivering this this particular first one after 2 years, like the example I was telling with the waterfall about 14 years ago. You're actually delivering it in 2.5 months. The first one is going out of the door into the laps of your customers and users, into their hands, into the mobile phone, and perhaps through a mobile app or a responsive web app. You're actually delivering the first cut, perhaps with 3-4 pages. That's okay. You're delivering it in the next 3 weeks. So you don't have to wait till 2021 December to actually get this complete website. Instead, deliver it in phases and start. And that's why the catalog would be up by November. The shopping cart would be up by February. Online payment could be accepted through credit card by April 2021. And then you can add multiple other ways of accepting payment. In the meantime, you can also work on improving these existing, whatever you have delivered. So see that kind of, so if you delivered that, you're getting the feedback early. If you deliver it late after 14 months, what you're going to get? Late feedback and tons of defects. Instead of that, if you just deliver small bits of work, just the catalog pages, perhaps the home page, the catalog item detail page, item list page, with the item photos and perhaps the ability to look at the reviews on the item, and then something like that. If it's a screen protector, which phones does it fit, item description, all those things. Just these bits is what you deliver by November. So only on that you'll get an idea, you'll get the feedback. That's fair enough. You don't have to, as we discussed, good perfection is the enemy of good. It should just be good enough for you to deliver, and then after that you improve on that, make it better, and then the best will be one day. And requirements which are not clear do not hold up. So that's a beautiful thing about agile and especially Scrum, because you don't worry about all the things. I need to have all the requirements, like how I used to work in the waterfall. I said I used to work 4 months to write up a requirement document, 4 months to write up a requirement document, about 500, 200 pages document. And then after that, it goes through all these iterations, and then sign offs, and by the freezing of the requirement is what we call frozen requirements, would happen after about 6 to 8 months, right? From the project start. So the problem is, what are you going to do within the 8 months? Your competitors would have come up with tons of products already, and they would have already garnered the market share. You're losing out on that time. So instead, try and work in the Scrum gives you the option, the ability to deliver something in few weeks to few months instead of few years. So you don't have to worry about all the other things that you want to pack. What am I going to do with this payment option? Oh my gosh, I can't do the payment. I can't accept payment by check. I can't do the payment by credit card. I don't have the payment gateway yet. Don't worry. First, work on the item. What is important and urgent? Again, going back to the prioritization, focus on what is important and what is urgent, both to the customers and users and to the business, right? It's not technology, it's the business. So first, deliver the item page. You focus on this. Make sure you've got everything that you have in terms of the clarity, in terms of what you've got for the item details page, the item list page. Make sure that the team is comfortable. They are aware of what is expected of them to deliver this item page. And once you have got this one, you deliver this. So you're actually kind of blinkered with respect to you're only focused on delivering the item details page, an item list page. And there's the next deliverable by sprint 1. Sprint 2, you actually deliver the item videos and item photos. So you're actually kind of focused and kind of blinkered only to deliver and understand and work on this piece of work. Don't worry about the payment gateways. Don't worry about the shopping cart, whether you're using e-commerce gateway. That's not important, and that's not urgent. So focus on the important and urgent, the need to haves. The nice to haves can come later, right? So that's the whole idea about why Scrum really works fantastic, because you don't have to get all the clarity about all the requirements. The complete big picture needs to be clear. No need. If you are able to, it's like driving a car. If you're driving from here to Brighton Beach, for example, by car, you don't have to see Brighton Beach from where I'm from my home in London. You don't have to see clearly right now. You have a map, you've got a road map, and you can actually follow through the roadmap in terms of, or you follow the GPS, the sat nav, the satellite navigation, and it tells you take the first turn. You don't have to know about the Brighton Beach right now in terms of what is happening at Brighton Beach right now at this point of time, and looking at it crystal clear. You don't have to know that. You can come to know that when it comes to that phase, that time. So your journey would start with first turn out of your home, right? The sat nav would actually tell you, take the first turn, left, right, or go straight, or whatever it is. And then after a few roundabouts and things like that, then it would get into the main road, the highway. And then after a few miles, then you actually can once you get closer to Brighton, that's when it say, now you're nearer to the Brighton Beach, right? So there is that sense of the purpose there, right? So you should have an idea that you're going to Brighton Beach, obviously, and that's why you've got this vision. We spent a lot of time yesterday and day before talking about vision and why having a roadmap is really important, and the prioritization, the scoping, the Moscow prioritization, all of these. So it's important to know where you're going and with what speed you're going, how you're going. All of these are important, but then you don't have to have a complete clear picture and everything laid in stone about the end goal right now. So what you're going to do after 2 years, who has seen tomorrow, as they say? Nobody has seen tomorrow, leave alone the next 3 quarters and the next year. So focus on the most important thing, most urgent thing that needs to be delivered now, rather than all the things. Don't get yourself muddled up. That's where you actually talk about maximizing the work not done in Agile, in Scrum especially. So you're maximizing the work not done by focusing on things which are to be done right now. That's why definition of done is important, right? So you are defining what is How can you define the done? So reaching Brighton state, the Brighton beach is your goal. That's the destination. You should be reaching in one piece, safe, comfortable, legally, no problems, and not meeting with any accidents, not going bumping into other cars. So you should reach there safely in one piece without any problem. That's the definition of done for you. Perhaps a time saying that I need to be able to reach by, let's say in the next 4 hours, right? That's your definition of done. And if you have that, that's enough. You don't have to really have all these finer details of what you're going to do once you're there. You'll plan, you'll have rough idea, but you don't have to constantly think about that right now. All you need to do is to drive your car from where you are, from your home in London to Brighton, and get on the car and then focus on the road, because that's the journey. And sometimes they say that the journey is what matters, not the destination. Enjoy the journey. Destination, obviously you'll reach the destination one way or the other. So the pleasure is in the journey. And same with the Agile and Scrum. You are developing something, the empowered teams, and then the engaged customers, the product taking shape beautifully. It's like a baby being born and then growing slowly and slowly in front of your eyes. You actually can get to play with the baby, get to see the baby talking, walking. All of these, it's the same with product. I've actually been part of so many product development life cycles. I'm so proud and happy to have been part of projects, all the projects and products where there was no vision, there was nothing. So I go there, I could talk to the stakeholders, come up with, okay, this is a rough vision of where we want to go, this is the expectations, the objectives. From there on, have a layer roadmap, work with the teams, come up with the first cut of the product, the prototype, deliver it, get the feedback, improve on that. The next sprints, the third, fourth sprints, have a particular first page. And by about 10th sprint, you have got some product taking into shape, about a few pages and apps, having functionality. So you actually get the pride, get the sense of achievement when you work in the Agile mode, because this is actually, you can actually get to see the product taking shape. That's called formative development, taking form slowly and slowly. You actually can contribute to it as a proud team member. Yeah, so that's again, I'm trying to give some examples, but this is just about making sure that you understand the spirit of Scrum and the sense of the greatness when you actually work in Agile mode as opposed to Waterfall, because I really worked in Waterfall as well. Trust me, it's nowhere near as good as what Agile is trying to offer. Collaborative development by customers and developers, very, very important. Again, as I mentioned earlier, customers are being brought in earlier. They're actively engaged. It's their product. You're actually working and developing their product, right? So they should be more engaged, more connected, more giving more feedback, more proactive in terms of how that could be improved, as opposed to the Waterfall about 14, 15 years ago when I was working on this. Customer used to come only after about 5th, 6th month of the requirements. After that, gone. So we would not go back to the customer. Now the customer is interested in us because they think that this is a kind of a specialty portion that we are all making. The product, the IT product or application that we're building, the system that we're building is something like a black magic within the dark room. And after that, after about a few months, we'll go back to the customer, open the doors. Oh, lo and behold, this is what you want, right? And then what they say? No way, this is not what I wanted. So much changes, this is crap. Go back and come back with a better one. Why? Because you have not touched base with them in the last few months. Instead, Agile, actually, you're engaging the developers, you're engaging the customers, making sure the team and the customers are working together, right? So all these, that's why the Scrum ceremonies would really help. The Scrum reviews and the showcases, as what we call. We actually showcase the product as it is developing to the customers directly. And we don't have to wait like 6 months for that. We actually do it after the end of the sprint. So by the end of 3 weeks, we have got something to show to the customer. They actually have got some feedback to give us. So that's a beautiful way of establishing the trust between them. And the positive environment, really good, because as I mentioned, I don't want to stress further on this because we've talked about it. Teams are empowered. They've got all the ability to decide what they want to do, plan and prioritize their work when it is in the sprint. So they've got motivation there. The win-win is because of the fact that the customers are getting what they wanted quickly. They can actually deliver it to their customers and their end